Welcome to Newsline. I'm Claire with the clairvoyant touch. There's something quite radiant about tonight. You know, June has tiptoed in on a Sunday, bringing with it not just a new week, but a month with longer days and, oh dear, shorter nights. You know what that means, ba? More hours to work, few hours to sleep. But June doesn't play fair, but she sure does sparkle. Either way, I'm glad we get to ease into it tonight here on Newsline. Now, if you tuned in last week, you remember we stirred quite the pot with that story on joint finance accounts between spouses. Let's just say I've found myself in more than few money talks since then. And I promised to share my 2 cents, and of course I will. But you'll have to hang around just a little longer. And as always, we've lined up stories that speak to the heart, reflect the times, some warm, some thought-provoking, and a few that might just tickle you. So wherever you are, on the couch, in the kitchen, or winding down for the week, stay close and let's connect through stories that matter tonight. This is Newsline, and it starts right now. And oh, I almost forgot. Ogo, I saw a smile. I spotted a smile. And you do strike me as the thoughtful type, you know, the kind who'd whisper, "Take it all, dear," when it comes to joint accounts.
Oh, really, Claire? I've never really tried that. Maybe I will. Do you do that? Do you have a joint account?
Don't preempt my response. You have to wait till the end of
Okay, we'll sit back, all right? Thank you for joining the news desk. And we begin the news with security matters, with the Minister of Defense inaugurating 3 newly acquired patrol vessels and tracker helicopters by the Nigerian Navy. He is reiterating the federal government's commitment to protecting the country's territorial integrity. Our Yusuf Jibo reports.
The 3 newly acquired patrol vessels, NNS Ikogosi, NNS Faro, and NNS Shere, as well as the 3 brand new helicopters, are expected to significantly enhance the operational readiness of officers and ratings of the Nigerian Navy as it continues in its quest to secure Nigeria's territorial waters from all forms of crime and criminality. Minister of State for Defense Bello Matawale, who represented President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, says the federal government remains committed to meeting the needs of the armed forces.
These patrol ships and helicopters are force multipliers in our fight against piracy, oil theft, illegal fishing, and other maritime crime. This commissioning is therefore a reflection of our determination to empower our institutions and protect our resources.
The ships we are commissioning today have high endurance and are equipped with advanced surveillance as well as rapid response capabilities. The 3 Augusta Westland helicopters also have long-range surveillance and high endurance capabilities. We believe that these platforms will complement our existing maritime domain awareness.
The Minister of State for Defense, while also commissioning newly built accommodations for officers of the Navy, tasked its personnel to remain steadfast in carrying out their constitutional responsibility.
With these new acquisitions, the Nigerian Navy says it is strengthening security and lifting morale one asset at a time. In Lagos, Awal Yusuf Jibo, NTA News.
Thank you, Awal. And elsewhere, new members have been inducted into the Military Staff Committee of the African Union Peace and Security Council at a 3-day meeting held in Lagos. The aim is to foster a more secured, stable and prosperous Africa while laying the foundation for a brighter future on the continent. Imel Doris' report is here presented.
These are representatives from the 15 member countries that make up the African Union Peace and Security Council Military Staff Committee. They are on familiarization tour of the Nigerian Navy ships as part of knowledge sharing to improve their responsiveness, proactivity, and coalition to peacekeeping mission on the continent. Chairperson of the AU Peace and Security Council, Brigadier General Abubakar Conte reaffirms the committee's core mandate in offering expert military guidance on decisions to the development of Africa's collective security architecture.
The Military Staff Committee's function is not merely technical, but rather strategic and deeply rooted in the values of African solidarity and ownership of peace processes.
The Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa, noted the fundamental importance of entrenching stability and sustainable security on the continent.
Your decisions and recommendations must be profound, pragmatic, and practicable. They must have real-world implications that will impact lives, shape communities, and determine the trajectory of our future.
Representative of the head PSA Secretariat, Nima Chusi, and Head Institute for Security Studies, Dr. Andrews Atta Asamoah, said the Military Staff Committee is committed to finding realistic and sustainable practical solutions to the various security threats on the continent. Algeria, Ethiopia, and the Kingdom of Eswatini are the 3 new member countries to be inducted into the committee.
Nigeria is taking a lead in the African Union's Sustainable Development Agenda through a deliberate effort by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's Renewed Hope Agenda. This view was shared by stakeholders at AUDA, NEPAD Management and Staff Capacity Building Workshop on AU Agenda 2063 and National Action Implementation Process held in Kaduna. Suraj Abdullahi reports.
Sustainable development, economic growth, climate resilient action, gender equality, youth empowerment and good governance are identified at this capacity building workshop as catalysts for attaining AUDNA Part Agenda 2063.
Agenda 2063 is not just a document. It is Africa's blueprint for inclusive and sustainable development. It presents a vision of a continent that is integrated, prosperous and peaceful, driven by its own citizens and representing a dynamic force in the global arena.
Stakeholders and participants reaffirmed their commitment at ensuring a successful implementation process of NPOA, Performance Management System, PMS, and AUDNA Part Agenda 2063.
My paper is all about the Federal Civil Service Strategy and Implementation Plan. It's a plan that the head of service is very, very passionate about because it gives us an idea of where the service wants to be.
The 2-day workshop equipped the participants with skills to build a resilient, responsive, citizen-centered, and future-ready public service that uphold the ideas of AUDNA Part Agenda 2063. In Kaduna, Suraj Abdullahi, NTA News.
Good news now, as beneficiaries of the federal government's PCNG tricycles have been urged to complement government's efforts in revitalizing the transportation sector by reducing price of transportation fares to commuters in the Federal Capital Territory. President of the National Commercial Tricycle and Motorcycle Owners and Riders Association, Sani Hassan, made this appeal to his members while distributing 100 units of PCNG tricycles to some beneficiaries on behalf of the federal government. Ibrahim Belogunda has the details.
The gesture by federal government to National Commercial Tricycle and Motorcycle Owners and Riders Association is part of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration commitment in bridging the gap created by the removal of fuel subsidy and bringing succor to members of the public in the transportation sector through the provision of 100 units of PCNG tricycles at a subsidized rate to the union for onward distribution to its members. The initiative is also to serve as a model to be extended to all the 36 states of the Federation and reducing 30% transport fares to commuters, thereby reducing the hardship associated with the impact of fuel subsidy removal and boost economic potentials of Nigerians.
The KK price is up to 5,500,000, the price of the KK, but the government has subsidized it to us. The KK is given to members now at 3,500,000.
Provided you never fail this program, they too they will get this KK successively.
The modernized tricycles are equipped with facilities to make drivers and commuters comfortable.
Surely it will reduce the cost of transportation across Abuja.
National Commercial Tricycle and Motorcycle Owners and Riders Association Mohammed Sani Hassan urged all the beneficiaries to continue to be responsible members of the association and support the federal government's effort to better the lives of Nigerians. In Abuja, Ibrahim Bello Gunda.
The maiden edition of the late Hajia Abibat Mogaji Tinubu Quranic recitation competition has rounded up in Kano, with winners going home with prizes including houses and Hajj seats. Aminu Umar reports that the competition, which was convened by the Special Advisor to the President on National Assembly Matters, received the blessings of Islamic leaders of all sects from Nigeria and abroad.
It started from the local government to zonal level with 150 participants making it to the state levels. The winners have now emerged through the rigors of assessment by the team of judges led by the Egyptian judge Rida Muhammad Abdul Jalil, who announced Ahmad Shuaibu from Shanono local government and Aisha Kabiru from Gari as overall winners, among other winners from various categories. Speakers, including the representatives of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and former President Muhammadu Buhari, acknowledged the sacrifice, dedication and commitment of late Hajia Abibat Mogaji Tinubu and her impactful life to the humanity.
It is a spiritual journey, a testament to dedication, discipline, and devotion. The Holy Quran is the divine word of Allah.
It is a continuation of legacy of remarkable women whose life embodied piety, dignity, and public service.
A great mother that lived an impactful life with a fear of God, that a role model by every standard. When a man loses a father, he loses an uncle. But when he loses his mother, he loses the sky. The shade of unconditional love, the whisper of midnight prayers, the laugh that comforted even the strongest man, all gone, save in memory.
Attended by ministers, legislators, diplomats, and traditional and religious leaders, the occasion was also used to offer prayers to the late Abibat Tinubu. In Kano, Aminu Umar, NTA News.
And from Edo State comes a report that participants at an international conference on mathematics holding at the Ambrose Ali University, Ekpoma, are advocating the integration of mathematicians into public offices to leverage their problem-solving skills in addressing complex societal issues. Rosemary Ibrahim reports.
Participants from various universities in Nigeria and across West African sub-region examined recent trends in mathematical sciences and its application as panaceas for solving countries' economic challenges.
The role of mathematics is to check the problem, convert the problem into mathematical equation, analyze that mathematical equation, solve it, and do prediction.
The conference provides a platform for knowledge sharing, collaboration, and innovative solutions to economic challenges.
Today, the Ambrose Ali University is enjoying peace that has also enabled us to host this very important international conference.
We take up real-life problems, convert it to mathematics, and study it under mathematics, and provide ways that you can augment and get the problem solved.
A child will say that if I read maths, I will not do anything. That was the wrong idea. If you read mathematics today, you can do anything.
If we can rely on what we feel is a norm, we may not get to where we are going to.
By exploring mathematics potential, experts aim to drive growth and development, shaping a brighter future for societies worldwide. In Ekpoma, Rosemary Ibrahim, NTA News.
In recognition of the vital role nutrition plays in cognitive development, academic performance, and overall health, The Gombe State government has embarked on a new initiative to combat malnutrition. The program trains 1,000 students from 10 selected schools across the state on how to produce complementary food using locally sourced materials. Zara Umar Adamu reports that the program is launched under the Ministry of Education.
A new dawn is breaking in Gombe State as the efforts to reverse the trend of child malnutrition take a bold community-driven turn.
What sets the initiative apart is its community-driven model. The complementary food is produced locally by trained women and 1,000 students from across 10 selected schools across Gombe State, equipping them with practical skills while directly contributing to improved health outcomes.
We are practicalizing our appeal that if we really want to develop and we want to overcome challenges, we must come back home. The formula we are giving is from our home products here in Gombe.
From training women as entrepreneurs, building their capacity, giving them starter packs, to moving on to schools, where we now train the young minds, the future generation, in production, entrepreneurship.
Zaida Musa, mother of 18-month-old triplets, recount her experience. I've gotten the complimentary food and I'm appreciative. My children will now recover. I'm grateful to the government and the initiators of the complimentary food.
The beneficiaries are children diagnosed with acute malnutrition, many of whom reside in underserved communities. Zara Umar Adamu, NTA News.
President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, has commiserated with the governor of Kano State, Malam Abba Kabir Yusuf, and families of the 22 members of the state contingent to the just concluded National Sports Festival in Ogun State who died in an accident. Akpabio, who represented President Bola Tinubu at the closing ceremony of the Games in Abeokuta, expressed profound sadness over the tragic incident, saying the devastating loss is a painful reminder of the fragility of life and the importance of prioritizing the safety and well-being of citizens, particularly the youths. While praying that God comforts the families of the deceased during this difficult time, Akpabio also prayed for the peaceful repose of the souls of the departed, with the hope that their memories inspire the living to work towards creating a safer and more supportive environment for all. In the meantime, Ogun State government has announced a 1 million naira cash support to each of the bereaved families of 22 Kano contingents who lost their lives while returning from the recently concluded National Sports Festival held in Abeokuta. The State Deputy Governor, Noimot Salako Oyedele, announced this during a condolence visit to Kano. Abdullahi Mustafa has the details.
Less than 24 hours after the tragic motor accident that claimed the lives of Kano athletes and officials, Ogun State Deputy Governor Noimot Salako Oyedele has arrived in Kano to commiserate with the government and people of the state. As the host state of the recently concluded National Sports Festival, from which the victims were returning, Salako Oyedele expressed deep sorrow over the incident, describing it as a shared national tragedy. While offering praise for the souls of the departed, the Deputy Governor also wished the injured a swift and full recovery.
We're providing the sum of 1 million naira each to them, the 31 people who were involved in this accident.
Kano State Deputy Governor Aminu Abdulsalam expressed appreciation for the solidarity. He described the visit as a reflection of true empathy and brotherhood, noting that Kano feels supported during this difficult time. He disclosed that the state government has made adequate arrangements for the medical care of the injured and had also provided interim financial assistance of 1 million naira and food items to the families of the deceased. Also received by the Deputy Governor are the leaderships of the Sports Writers Association of Nigeria and the Nigerian Basketball Federation, who came to condole with the government and people of the state. In Kano, Abdullahi Mustafa, NTA News.
Former President Muhammadu Buhari has sent condolence messages following two tragic incidents: the flash floods in Niger State that claimed over 100 lives, destroyed homes and displaced thousands, and a fatal auto crash in Kano that killed 22 young athletes, coaches and officials. In a statement by his spokesperson, Malam Garba Shehu, former president says the bereaved families and the people of Kano State are being condoled, and said the tragic incidents happening in quick succession had left him in shock and devastated, just as it did to many people in different parts of the world. The former president also prayed for the injured to recover soon. And similarly, Minister of Police Affairs Ibrahim Gaidam also expresses his heartfelt condolences to the government and people of Kano State over the tragic incident, and prays that God accepts the souls of the departed. Operatives of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, have uncovered and dismantled a syndicate that sponsors Hajj pilgrims who also serve as couriers to smuggle cocaine to Saudi Arabia during pilgrimage. This development follows the arrests of the cartel's leaders in Kano. Sawal Khalil Ibrahim tells us more.
Based on credible intelligence, the NDLEA arrested two pilgrims at Malam Aminu Kano International Airport on May 26th after a body scan revealed they had ingested illicit substances. Each person excreted 45 wraps of cocaine, totaling 90 pellets. Further investigation uncovered their sponsors as leaders of a notorious drug trafficking network specializing in smuggling drugs to Saudi Arabia. A swift operation led to the arrest of the trio on May 27th and 28th, 2025 in Kano. In a related operation, NDLEA operatives at the Kano airport intercepted a 60-year-old businessman bound for Iran after a body scan revealed he had ingested 65 wraps of cocaine. In another operation, NDLEA operatives on patrol along Kano-Maiduguri Road on May 30th intercepted two persons with $900,000 in cash suspected to be counterfeit. The suspect and exhibit will be transferred to the relevant agency for further investigation. In Abuja, Salwa Khalil Ibrahim, NTA News.
And on the global scene, China warns the United States not to play with fire over Taiwan, and Cote d'Ivoire's opposition call for electoral reforms ahead of vote. Details with Charles Alpha.
China protested to the United States over remarks made by Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth in response to what the Foreign Ministry said on Sunday after accusing it of deliberately ignoring calls for peace from regional nations. China objected to Hegseth calling it a threat to the Indo-Pacific. The ministry added, describing his comments at the Shangri-La dialogue in Singapore as deplorable and indeed to sow division. Hegseth deliberately ignored the call for peace and development by countries in the region and instead touted the Cold War mentality for black confrontation, vilified China with defamatory allegations and falsely called China a threat. In Africa, Cote d'Ivoire political opposition, an alliance of parties known as the Coalition for a Peaceful Alternation, is calling for a political dialogue with the ruling of party Rally of the Republicans, RDR, 5 months ahead of the presidential election. Opposition leaders denounced President Alassane Ouattara's potential candidacy, as well as the exclusion of several political figures from the electoral list, including banker Tijani Thiam, former chief executive officer of Swiss Bank Credit Suisse. Charles Alpha, NTA News.
Let's now take a sports update with Bade Adeleye. Bade, you're just returning from Abuja. You're welcome back. And the tragic incident. Anyway, let's have the trending stories.
Many thanks, Ogo. So sad. And of course, the sports fraternity in Nigeria continues to mourn the passing of the 22 athletes. All right, let's begin the news tonight by telling you that just as PSG are still celebrating their first European Champions League, on the African continent, Pyramids of Egypt have defeated Mamelodi Sundowns of South Africa 3-2 on aggregate to win this year's CAF Champions League after the second leg of the final played in Egypt. The first leg in South Africa ended 1-0, just as the new champions secured a 2-1 victory in Egypt to seal their first Champions League. To a bit of transfer news now, as Manchester United have sealed the deal for the signing of Matheus Cunha from Wolverhampton Wanderers. The Brazilian forward will become Ruben Amorim's first signing of the summer as he looks to rebuild a squad that finished 15th in the Premier League in the just concluded season. To tennis now, it's a new dawn in the professional and amateur tennis development in Abuja. This follows the inauguration of new executive members of the City Sports Club in Abuja, which has Sunday Olorundare Thomas as president and Nigerian Television Authority reporter Nonsonwa Boeze as new secretary general. Members of the club pledged to key into President Tinubu's renewed hope in sports development, especially in grassroots tennis development.
And with respect to national policy on sports, I think with the restructuring of the sporting line, having the National Sports Commission now, I think it goes a long way to tell you where sports is in the agenda of Mr. President. And therefore, we want to take advantage of this as our sporting group, with the tennis section and the City Sports Club. And that's why right now we are making all plans to move to a permanent site. And that's, we speak a lot as.
All right, now a quick check on the latest results coming from the French Open as defending champion Carlos Alcaraz has beaten Belshotens after coming from behind to beat Elena Rybakina 1-6, 6-3, 7-5 to zoom into the quarterfinals. And to motorsports now, finally, Oscar Piastri has beaten his teammate Lando Norris to win the Spanish Grand Prix as Max Verstappen was penalized for controversially colliding with George Russell of Mercedes. And of course, Charles Leclerc of Ferrari finished third with his teammate Lewis Hamilton finishing fifth after a late issue with his car. That's it on Sports Tonight. Let's now return to the sports-loving duo of Ogo and Claire.
Wow, see, Bade, you didn't just come back with memories, but you also came back with your style upgrade. Anyway, I mean, the accident involving the Kano athletes just took the shine away from the Ogu incident. But the president of the Senate, did say it all in his tribute. It's all about prioritizing people's safety and their well-being. That's all I've got to say about that. Ogo.
It's very devastating indeed. It's high time we prioritize the safety of our athletes. Traveling on the road is something difficult these days. I don't know. But may their souls rest in peace.
Sorry, it's not just about roads. Some people like, the scenery and get to know, the different parts of the country. Again, like the president of the Senate said, you need to prioritize, you need to plan. I don't know, Bade, I don't know what you've got to say about that.
It's quite unfortunate, Claire. So many teams even left midnight. Immediately after the closing ceremony, just waited. Some of them waited for just an hour or two before leaving. So just an unfortunate one. And I think most times, due to so many reasons, they just decide to go by road. But, if a disaster is supposed to happen, it could happen via, air or, water. It could just happen. It's just an unfortunate one.
Quite unfortunate. May their souls rest in peace. Bade, it's about you.
All right, Bade, thank you. And of course, Claire. And now, how is it going to be tomorrow? That's Monday. Is it going to be rainy or sunny? Let's find out in our weather prospect for Monday.
To the weather forecast, I'm Sefia St. Yunusa. Monday's forecast is looking active with thunderstorms expected across various parts of the country in both morning and afternoon hours. In the morning, thunderstorms are likely in areas such as Taraba, Bauchi, Gombe, the northwestern region, FCT, Nasarawa, Niger, Benue, and the coastal cities. As the day progresses into the afternoon, there's a high chance of widespread thunderstorms across the southern region, the north-central cities and parts of Borno, Yobe, Kaduna, Zamfara, Sokoto, and Kebbi. And that's our weather forecast for Monday.
All right, stick around as we take a break. Newsline Proper will be back shortly.